Hi everyone, and welcome to the Franchising Matters video series. My name is Steve Bjors, and I'm CEO of Reshift Media. Our topic today is how to create a winning website for franchise companies. Now, before we get into the details of the presentation, I thought we'd talk a little bit about who Reshift Media is. So, we're a digital marketing organization that specializes in franchise companies. We do all things digital marketing, everything from social media to search to building websites, apps, and everything in between. In addition, we are the owners and creators of the Brand Amplifier suite of products. The Brand Amplifier is a digital marketing platform that uses automation and machine learning to allow franchise organizations to create social media and search campaigns at scale. We're also the owners and creators of the Frantify franchise digital marketing platform. What this platform does is it helps franchise organizations find the ideal franchisees for their organization. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump into the meat of the presentation. So, if you've been researching how to build a great website for your franchise organization, you've probably heard all of these things. And don't get me wrong, they're very important, but from our perspective, these are the basics that you need to be successful. You absolutely need to build a great website that has your customers' needs in mind. You need a great design that feels like your brand. What I often say is someone who visits your website, it should feel like walking in the front door of one of your locations. It should feel very similar. You need well-written content. You need great images. Your website absolutely needs to load quickly on desktop and in particular on mobile. In fact, what you should be doing is using mobile-first design and development, which should be the gold standard for any website these days. Your website must be secure from attacks, and it really should be accessibility compliant, meaning that people who are using a screen reader, who have visual impairment, are able to still use your website. All of these things are incredibly important, but from our perspective, every website should have this. So as far as I'm concerned, these are the basics. And going forward, I'm going to assume that you already have done all of this. What we want to talk about today is how you take your website to the next level. So let's talk about what a winning website looks like. So let's define winning. In our mind, winning includes two elements. First of all, your website needs to be found online. Why did you build it if not to have someone find it, right? You certainly don't want to be invisible. So that is the most important thing, is making sure that your website has the right content and structure where people, when they're conducting a relevant search, actually find you. And secondly, once they find you and they're on your website, let's make sure they convert. So conversion can mean whatever is most important to your business. If you're an e-commerce business, conversion probably means an online sale. If you're not an online business or an online e-commerce business, conversion probably means an inquiry or a lead, some form of contact. So going forward, the rest of this presentation is going to talk about these two things. Number one, how do we get found online? Number two, once someone comes to our website, how do we convert that person into an inquiry or a lead or a sale? So let's start by talking about how people find you. And if that's what we're talking about, it means we're talking about SEO. A winning website needs great SEO. And I want to define what I mean by great SEO. So it doesn't mean ranking for everything. That's quite impossible. What you want from a great SEO strategy is you want to maximize your opportunity to be found when people are conducting relevant searches for your business. So if someone's searching something that's relevant to your product or your service or your geography, sure, you should be able to rank for that. And when people talk about SEO, you typically talk about two pieces. One is on page, one is off page. On page basically means that you're optimizing for elements within the website. Things like your content and your structure, things like that help maximize your visibility to search engines. The second piece, off page, is where you're performing activities that are outside of the website itself. So this could be listings or generating backlinks, citations, things like that. So because today is about creating a winning website, we're really going to focus on the on-page elements, although we will touch on some off-page as we go. If we're talking about SEO, we have to talk about generative AI. I know you've probably heard everything you want to hear about AI, but it is so important to the search industry these days. As you might be able to tell by my gray hair, I actually remember when Google was new. Google was a new product online. And I think since that time, when Google reshaped SEO fundamentally back then, this is probably the most meaningful time right now for search engine optimization. AI is absolutely changing how search works at the most fundamental levels. So if you're not thinking about how to optimize your website for AI, you're absolutely missing the boat and you will get left behind. So we need to talk about it. So let's start with Google's search generative experience. Most of you would know this as AI overviews. You should have all seen this by now. Google launched it in 2024. Basically, what it is Google's using AI to crawl the web, get a bunch of information, and when you ask a query, it will answer that question based on all the information it's crawled and kind of cobbled together. So I have an example for you here where I searched who is the world's best franchise marketing firm. The answer, of course, was Reshift Media. This is not Photoshop, by the way. This is the real result. Feel free to try it yourself. But I wanted to use it as an illustration of how AI Overviews looks and works. So in this case, it has given me the answer to my question, and it's cited a couple of sources. So one is obviously the Reshift Media website, but there's newswire.ca there, and if you were to do a show more, you'd see some additional sources. So although Google is giving one answer, it is in fact also providing links to relevant sources where it got that answer from. Now, from a consumer perspective, this is fantastic. I ask a question, I get the answer. Amazing. From a business perspective, this is horrendous because I don't have to click through as a person to that website anymore. So all those years of content marketing you've been doing where you are trying to get your link to rank or your website to rank and someone clicks that link and they come through to your website, in this case, that's gone, which is why a lot of people are calling this a zero-click search because the person gets the answer, they don't have to click. So I do know some franchise organizations are really concerned about this. I've even heard some people talking about, I don't want the search engine crawling my information and using it in its AI overviews. And believe me, I completely understand where you're coming from. This is obviously a complete change to how search works. However, if you don't structure your website to have a chance to rank in these AI overviews, you are absolutely going to be left behind. And I'm going to go through that in some detail today, but it is so important that you are thinking about how these AI overviews work, how ChatGPT works, how all the other search engines work, how you can get your fair share to rank in these searches. Now, we also want people to come through to our website. We still want to get those clicks. So we're going to talk today about how you get both. How do I rank in an AI overview or a AI-based search? And how do I still get clicks to my website? Let's start with some strategies on how you can rank for Google Search Generative Experience. So the first thing is to stick to your fundamentals. So this isn't about gaming the system or trying to figure out, what's the next little thing I can do, what's the silver bullet. Frankly, we have always at Reshift been a huge proponent of stick to the fundamentals. Stick to creating great content that has value, create great websites that are crawlable, and you'll do well no matter what happens. Because at the end of the day, you need to remember what the job of the search engine is. The search engine's job is when someone asks a question to give the best possible answer. So if you've got great content, and if you structured that content in a way where the search engine can crawl it and understand it, you have a good chance of ranking regardless of what the search methodology the search engine is using. So number one, stick to your fundamentals. The second thing is making sure that Google understands your business, understands who you are, understands your products and your services. AI overviews include citations. So citations are obviously backlinks, which Google has used forever as part of its ranking methodology, but even just brand mentions. So even if someone doesn't give you a hyperlink, but they talk about your brand online, Google is using that as a ranking signal. So it's really important that when it sees your name out there, it knows who you are and understands your business. And that's why making sure that your Google business profile is up to date, that the about page on your website's up to date, that all your products and services are up to date on your website is so important. So when that citation happens, Google can correlate it back to your website. The next thing, which you're going to hear me talk a lot about today, is structured data. Structured data, a lot of people would call it schema markup, basically the same thing. It's really important to enable search engines to not just crawl your site, but to truly understand the content. And let me give you a real world example here. So this is one of our clients, a company called Dogtopia. This is their Waco location. You can see we have presented the phone number, the email address, the physical address, the location hours in a very logical way. And any person coming to this website can clearly understand it. And the search engine would come to this website and would crawl that data. And almost certainly Google is going to understand it. We've structured it in such a fashion to help that. But just to make sure, in the code of the site, which I've provided a little screen grab here, we've provided some additional information. So we've wrapped microdata around this content in the background where we've said, hey, Google, this is a local business. Its name is Dogtopia of Waco. Here is the street address. Here is the city. Here is the state. Here is the zip code, and it's in the United States. Not only that, but we've even given Google the Latin long just to eliminate any doubt. So what this means is we have explicitly told the search engine, here is where you can find this information. Search engine doesn't need to guess. It doesn't need to figure out, if it's a different Waco in a different state. In fact, it knows the exact lat and long of this location. And that's so important for local searches, which I'm going to talk a lot about in a minute. But making sure that Google has a locality and details of your location, so important. We've even done this with the hours of operation as well. So again, Google would probably crawl this and figure it out. But we have been very careful to make sure that it knows what days of the week this location's open and what hours it's open. So again, eliminating any doubt in the search engine's virtual mind, so to speak. And this is just one example. So there are literally hundreds of schema markups for restaurants, retailers, all kinds of types of business, all kinds of types of information. So wrapping this microdata, this information around your content is so important so the search engine clearly understands it and can index it. I'm going to talk more about this as we go. And Google talks a lot about EEAT, which is experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Basically, what Google says is if you're a trustworthy and authoritative source on a topic, you're more likely to rank for relevant searches. So what you do for this is incorporating what they call trust signals into your website. So this would be certifications, awards, years of experience. When you're writing your content, use an active tone, not a passive tone. And if you have subject matter experts in your organization or that write for you, highlight them. So give them a byline, interlink with other content they've created. Just use their expertise to further enhance the trust and credibility of your own website. I also want to talk about voice search. So voice search has been around for some time. A lot of you watching this video probably have a smart speaker in your home, like a Google Home or Alexa. But with generative AI, voice search has really taken off. For those of you who have played with Google's Gemini, it's quite incredible. ChatGPT has a voice search as well. It's truly becoming a conversation. And what's interesting about this is the technology is really enabling a strong takeoff of or adoption of voice search. And I want to point out one stat in here in particular at the bottom is that PricewaterhouseCoopers found that 74% of people use voice search on their smartphone to find information on local businesses at least weekly. So that's where you see people walking around and they're holding their smartphone like this and they're talking into it. This is absolutely taking off. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because it has a huge impact on how you want to structure your content to make sure you rank for voice searches. So let's take a little time travel back. Those of you who maybe have a little gray hair like me, you might remember back when we used to talk about the long tail. This was back when people typed to search, right? When searches were mainly on a laptop or desktop. And there were books written about the long tail and how there would be these detailed searches and how you want to rank for those because they're higher quality and they tend to convert more. And then search kind of moved to the smartphone. So what happened was, people typing on the smartphone with their thumbs weren't nearly as fast, and the long tail kind of disappeared because people, instead of typing a long search because they were quick with their fingers, now typing with their thumbs, they would type something like pizza near me. And so we kind of stopped talking about the long tail. But with voice search, not only is the long tail back, but I'm calling this the super long tail because talking is easy. And so when someone does a voice search, they tend to add a lot of detail. And that's good for you as a company because the more detail they add, the more likely it is that they're about to convert if you can provide that product or service they're looking for. So look at the chart on the left. Here's some examples. So pizza near me, very high search volume, very common type of search, but there's not much specificity there. So the odds of that person converting for your business are low. They're not being very specific about what they want. They might convert anywhere or not. So the odds of conversion are low, but the volume is high. Best hand-tossed pizza place nearby. Okay, a little more detail. That's great. Where can I find a pizza place with spicy tomato sauce around here? Even better. And then which pizza places near me have great hand-tossed pizza with spicy tomato sauce? Incredibly detailed search. Volume is going to be very low, but the likelihood, if you can provide that person with hand-tossed pizza with spicy tomato sauce, conversion opportunity is very high. And the key for you is making sure that the search engine knows you have hand-tossed pizza, knows you have spicy tomato sauce. So how do we make that happen? Well, the first thing is to think about your content slightly differently. So when people use voice search, they tend to use conversational language and they tend to use simple terminology. So this means writing your content where you're not using industry jargon or complex terms and working in more conversational type of language and thinking about the long tail searches people might do. The second thing is implementing structured data, which I've already talked about, and you will hear about again, but making sure that you've put structured data around your products and services so the search engine knows, hey, guess what? I have spicy tomato sauce. My pizza's hand-tossed. So making sure you've applied that microdata so the search engine has complete confidence in the products and services you offer and the aspects or the elements or the features of those products and services, really, really important. And prioritize local SEO. We're going to talk a lot about local SEO in just a minute. But as I said, a lot of people are conducting local searches when they're using voice search. And that could be because they're in their car, like our little picture here, where someone's looking for a business nearby as they're driving using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. This is going to become more and more prevalent. So making sure that you're thinking about local SEO, again, thinking about that lat long and that proximity, adding that structured data to it, absolutely critical. Now, I've talked about SEO fundamentals a couple of times, and I don't want to lose sight of those. So although, yes, you want to be optimizing for AI overviews and voice search and all the next generation stuff, don't lose sight of your fundamentals. So fundamental SEO concepts are things like quality content. So no matter what, write your content for humans. I use humans purposefully. Don't write it for the machine. Don't write it for search per se. I'll talk about what I mean by that in just a second. But what I mean is you don't want to have keyword stuffing. You don't want to try and outsmart the search engine and use SEO tricks. What you want to do is you absolutely want to do keyword research, identify areas of opportunity, understand what your competitors are doing, and write your content in a way that lends itself to being indexed well, but it lends itself to being indexed well because you're thinking about how humans are using the search engine. That's the key. So write great content, use conversational language, target areas of opportunity, understand what your competitors are doing, but write it in a natural, real way. You also want to make sure that your website is structured well to highlight that content. So even if you got great content, if your website isn't structured to allow the search engine to crawl it, doesn't matter. So you want to make sure you have great URL structure. Again, there's structured data I've been talking about a lot. And make sure things like your H1s and your title tags and your alt text are all set up properly. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, thought I would show you some examples of this. So this is a page from the Reshift Media website, obviously about franchise search engine advertising. So when I say a title tag, that's what's up at the top here. So this is applied within the background data of the website. Basically tells the search engine what the page is about. The title tag is literally the first thing the search engine will crawl, and it's also what it highlights in the search result. So if someone here searches search engine advertising for franchise companies, that in the red box, franchise search engine advertising, that is a title tag for that page. So it's important, first of all, because the search engine crawls it to help it understand what the page is about, but it's also important because that is what the search engine shows to the person. Next thing here is the URL. So the URL has franchise search engine advertising, and this is what's called your H1. H stands for heading. So this is your heading 1 tag. And as you can see, the title tag, search engine, franchise search engine advertising, URL, franchise search engine advertising, H1, franchise search engine advertising. So strong alignment on all three elements. The search engine is like I feel pretty confident that this page is about franchise search engine advertising. Strong alignment, makes sense. And then, of course, all the content on the page. There's more content, obviously, but the content has search engine advertising and franchises throughout. So what this does is it gives a search engine a lot of confidence that it understands what the topic of this page is. I also want to talk about alt text. So alt text, I think, is an underutilized opportunity. So this is an article from, again, the Reshift site, how franchise companies can capitalize on social search. Article itself isn't important. I want to talk about the images. So this is just a hero image, but what we've done is we've applied what's called alt text to this image. So again, this is metadata applied to the image. As you can see, the name is How Franchise Companies Can Capitalize on Social Search in 2025. So in this case, we've just named the image the same as the article because it's just art. But I want to give you a better example here. So we have a couple of charts in this particular article. One is search preferences by age group, and as you can see, we've applied that metadata, and the likelihood of people to search on social platforms, again, we've applied that metadata. So we're doing this for a couple of reasons. One, it's best practice from an accessibility perspective. So if someone's using a screen reader and they come to this website, if they're visually impaired, that alt text is what the screen reader will read aloud to the person so they know what the image is. But secondly, the search engine crawls that alt text. So it helps the search engine understand what the image is about. And it allows us an opportunity to have additional high value keywords as part of this article. So this does lots of stuff for us. So first off, if someone goes to do an image search and they want a chart that shows how much people are using social media for searching in 2025, boom, there's our image. So right out of the gate, because we've applied this alt text, which is helping the search engine understand the image, we have an opportunity to rank in a straight up image search. But more importantly, coming back to our AI overviews conversation, you see here, I've done a search for how frequently people use social media for searching in 2025. There we are as Reshift Media ranking in the AI overview. But there again is that same chart that we've applied the alt text to. And an interesting aspect of AI overviews is Google doesn't necessarily take the image from the same article, because a lot of times the answer it provides is an amalgamation of a bunch of different sources. And so that image is ranked completely independently. So even if the left side, the copy, was an amalgamation from other sources, in this case it's not, but it could be, we could still have our image there, which gives us a citation on the right. So lots of opportunity for alt text to give you ranking opportunities. And in this case, I feel pretty confident in saying that the alt text on this image probably helped us rank, because not only do we have a great written article, but we have images and stats that have alt text that then help the article rank better and vice versa. So it becomes a very nice sort of virtuous circle in terms of ranking. The other thing at the bottom of this page there is off-page optimization. So we will talk more about this, but you do want, from a fundamentals perspective, you want to grow your brand mentions and your backlinks. Again, this is where PR is a fantastic tool. And it's really, really important that you optimize your Google business profile in particular and other high quality listing opportunities. So Bing and Apple Maps being probably the biggest ones. There's other ones as well, particularly anything in your industry. But Google business profile being the number one thing you want to make sure is completely optimized. So let's do a couple of real world examples. I like examples. So here's someone who does a search for what pizza places have great hand-tossed pizza with spicy tomato sauce. So I happen to live in an area called Whitby, and I did this real search. This is a real screen grab from the search I did. And it says, for hand-tossed pizza with spicy tomato sauce in Brooklyn, Whitby, please consider Pizza Hut and Domino's. So this is an absolutely fantastic result for Pizza Hut and Domino's. They are mentioned by name in an AI overview. So I love that. This is the sort of search you want to optimize for. So when someone's conducting a voice search, boom, there you go. Now, something for you to think about as an organization. As of right now, I'm showing this to you as text, and this is how I did it. I searched on my phone and I looked at it and I saw, okay, there's the result. More and more, people are going to get this result via audio, not via text, where the phone will read it back, or the smart speaker will read it back, or in your car using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, it reads it back, which means you're getting one result. So going forward, looking into the future, people will get one result to their query, and it's going to be what this AI overview is. So you very, very, very much want to be in that consideration set. So you want to be able to rank for AI overviews, because it's not about being in the top 3 anymore. It's about being in the top 1. Now, I want to change this search just a little bit. So instead, she says, where can I get a great hand-tossed pizza with spicy tomato sauce near me? The search is almost the same, except I've changed it to where can I get? And interestingly, I got a very different result. So again, this is a real result that I did on my phone. And as you can see, there's no AI overview. Instead, it's done a local search for me, which is ranking pizza places that are nearby. And interestingly, Pizza Hut and Domino's are not in the list. That's because what they're doing is they're actually using my lat long and the lat long of these businesses, and they're looking at what these businesses offer to try and give the best possible result. Completely different search algorithm. And what's interesting about this is now each business ranks independently, and this is an opportunity to get a click through and get someone actually converting on their website to buy a pizza. So this is a very interesting result. And it's quite common that a local search or a search with local intent doesn't necessarily trigger an AI overview. Not saying it never happens. I've personally certainly seen a few instances where a local search is triggering AI overviews, but it's less likely to happen, which means local search is a real opportunity for franchise companies. In fact, I would go so far as to say that local search is, in fact, franchise companies' secret weapon. I've been in the digital marketing business a long time, and I've been working with franchise organizations more than 13 years. And I can say with a lot of confidence that no other organizational type is built better than a franchise organization to rank for local searches. So if you think about it, you as a franchise organization have business owners in each of your areas who are motivated to grow that business. So you have expertise in every local market, and you have a footprint, whether that's virtual or physical bricks and mortar, in every local market in a way that other companies simply can't replicate. If you're going up against local competitors, sure, maybe they have 1 or 2 or 3 locations. You probably have dozens in and around that area, and in and around the country, and in and around the world. Or if you're going up against a national competitor who doesn't have the same boots on the ground as you, they can't possibly compete from a local search perspective. So this really is a massive opportunity for franchise organizations to win at the search game, is by focusing on local search. So I want to talk about why you should care. So first off, as I mentioned, AI overviews tend to show up less frequently. So yes, you want to rank for AI overviews, and we're going to talk about how you optimize for that. But ranking for local searches is one of the ways you can still get traffic to your website to drive those conversions you're looking for. Local searches have incredibly high volume. In fact, local searches are one of the only search types that are growing at more than 100% a year quite consistently. What I love is you are only competing against other businesses in that area. So with the right approach, you can dominate for a local search by using the heft of your franchise network to rank in that local market. And you are limiting your competitor set, because when someone's looking for a business near them, you are literally only competing for searches with companies that have done a good job at making sure that the search engine knows that they're in that area. And really important one is that local searches have strong purchase intent. As soon as someone starts to put in, buy pizza near me, or, buy pizza in Whitby, they've already made up their mind they need the product, and now they're looking where they can get it. So they have incredibly high intent. So these are some of the best searches you can rank for, because it tends to lead to conversions much, much more quickly. So how do you rank for local searches? It means for you as a franchise organization, it means you need to think about ranking your site from a local perspective first. So a lot of organizations, when we start working with them to build them a new website, they're fixated on the national website, and in particular the national homepage. How should it look? What content should be on it? Etc., etc. And yes, the homepage is very important. As I said at the outset, it should feel like your business, should be well designed, should have great content. Absolutely. Super important. But from a local search perspective, your local microsite's actually way more important. And I use the term microsite on purpose. Having just a one pager that has the name of the local business and the address and the hours of operation, it's not good enough. You need to create, as a franchise organization, a truly local experience where someone can enter your network at a local microsite and find things that are important to them. Find the products and services that that particular location offers, find their hours of operation, yes, learn about their business, and understand, how that business is going to add value to them. And your objective when you structure your website should be to have people enter your network at the local microsite because you want to rank for those local searches. And I will also tell you, in our experience, over 13 years and hundreds of websites, you will always get better conversions at your local website because the person enters at that local microsite. They see where the location is. They feel confident that they have the products or services they require, and they're more apt to convert. If they enter at your national website, they got to hunt and peck to find their way down to your local website to make sure that there is, in fact, a location nearby. They're less likely to convert. Your conversion opportunity is much, much, much higher at the local website. So the job of your national website in this kind of a structure is still very important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying national website doesn't matter, but its role is really about providing a backstop of SEO for the overall company. You want to include core pages such as your product and services. Usually you would have a really good company blog or a robust FAQ to help rank for terms. And really you want to just provide that overall ranking for your core search terms that you want to rank for, and of course the brand itself, the name of the company. Your local microsites should have all of your local specific information: address, phone number, cross streets, neighborhood, city, any kind of local content you can think of. So about the local team, about the local franchisees, maybe a local blog. And the idea again is that it provides that entry point from a local perspective and ranks for local terms. So for example, in this case, the city of Springfield. And I want to touch on that as well, where we see a lot of franchise organizations where the structure of the site is yourwebsite.com is sort of the corporate site, and then the local sites will be independent sites like your website springfield.com, your website riverdale.com. That is absolutely the wrong way to go, because what you're doing is you're fragmenting your search authority across a bunch of sites as opposed to harnessing it together. I like to think of SEO kind of like heat. You can make a few things warm or you can make one thing hot. And in this case, you want to make your main domain, yourwebsite.com. You want to make that hot. So the way you want to structure your site is exactly as we've done on the screen here, where instead of yourwebsitespringfield.com, it should be yourwebsite.com/Springfield. Also, if your website structured as springfield.yourwebsite.com, that's called a subdomain. That's also seen as a separate website in Google's eyes. And the reason that's bad is because all your microsites, all your local sites are trying to rank for the same terms as your national site. And so all they do is they fight against each other. They're all trying to rank for the same terms. So Google doesn't know who the primo is. And all you're doing is lowering your overall search authority because each website's ranked independently. And allows competitors to come right up the middle, outmaneuver you. Whereas by doing it the way you've done on the screen here, where it's a subfolder, yourwebsite.com/Riverdale as an example, what that means is you're harnessing all your search authority onto that main website. This does a lot of good things. First of all your local websites ranking well in aggregate helps your national website rank. Because your national website is seen as authoritative, it helps your local websites rank. And one of the awesome things we've seen is when you bolt on a new location, let's say you open a new location in a new area, you put them into your network, they rank better and faster than they ever would on their own because they're getting the benefit of that whole network. So I want to talk a little more about what the local content for these microsites would look like. It's really important that you think through your local content strategy. And the more unique content you can put for each location, the better. So as I mentioned, you have to have things like the location name, address, hours, wrap that structured data around it like I showed you before. Think of any information distinct to that location. Cross streets, neighborhood, city, any kind of general terms people who live there would use and perhaps search. Think about information about the community. Think about the location's ties to the community. Do they sponsor a Little League team? Is the franchisee a member of the Chamber of Commerce? Did the franchisee grow up there? How can you tie them into that community? And if you can manage it, a local blog with local content is a great idea. Really important that that content is unique, though. What we see a lot of franchise organizations do is they just copy and paste the content across all their location microsites, and they change a word. It's like, we have the best services in Springfield. We have the best services in Riverdale. It doesn't matter. Google will see right through that, and it will see that as duplicate content, and it won't rank it. It will discount that content. So you really want to focus on creating unique, relevant, valuable content for each location to the greatest extent possible. What we do at Reshift Media is we often will rewrite all of the content for every location to make it unique. So even the services or products, we'll rewrite it with real humans to make sure that it's pertinent to that location. The other thing is to think local when optimizing your listings. So I haven't talked a lot about Google My Business Profile, but it is critically important from a local search perspective. So what you want to do is you want to optimize your Google Business Profile to the maximum extent possible. This means put your local name in there, put your services. If you're a restaurant, put your menu, any amenities. Do you have a wheelchair ramp? Do you have adequate parking? Make sure it understands the details of your products and services, i.e. spicy sauce or hand-tossed pizza, things like that. And one of the big misses we see is a lot of times franchise organizations will have Google Business Profile for every location, but they'll link it to the homepage. So as an example, your Riverdale location will have a link in its Google Business Profile that's yourwebsite.com. That's absolutely a bad move. You want that link to be yourwebsite.com/Riverdale. Link it directly to the pertinent local microsite and make sure that the information matches. The name should be the same, address, phone number, hours of operation. Make sure they match. So that way, again, Google has lots of confidence that it has the right information about the right location. And therefore, when someone does a search, it knows that this is the right information to show them, and you've got a better chance to rank. Now, if someone does enter the network at your national microsite or your national website, that's not the end of the world. In fact, this is going to happen, and that's a good thing. Your national website should rank for some great terms. You should have a great blog or FAQ, which is ranking. People should absolutely be entering at your national website if you've done your job properly. Now, what we do want is once they enter there, we want to think about how we can path them to your local microsite as quickly and efficiently as possible, because as we know, conversion is much, much more likely at that local microsite. So that's where a great location finder comes in. So people will not struggle to find a location for your business. So your location finder needs to be super, super easy to use. And I really recommend, once you're done watching this video, or feel free to pause and come back, I guess, get out your cell phone, go to the location finder for your company on your phone, and see how easy it is to use. It has to work great on mobile. It should have a map view. It should have a list view. It should let people sort by proximity. It should be super easy and intuitive to use on your phone. If it's not, you got to fix it. People won't put up with it. They will absolutely bounce, and you will lose that person if it's not easy to find a location. The other thing is to make sure that your search engines can crawl that location finder, can make sure they know each location and can get to the microsite quickly and efficiently as a search engine. We do see some franchise organizations use third-party location finders where it's like locations.yourwebsite.com and you've kind of gone off to a subdomain. Don't do that. It is absolutely horrific from an SEO perspective. You've basically taken all that great local SEO you could have and you've put it onto another domain. You have to have your store locator in your main website. Have all your local websites in your main website. That's how you're going to win at the local search game. Talking quickly about your franchise development website, a lot of organizations kind of do the same thing here where they orphan that website by creating a URL specific to it. So something like yourfranchisewebsite.com or franchise.yourwebsite.com. And I know why franchise organizations do it. I know that Sometimes it's about I want a different look and feel, or I'm using a different agency for franchise development, so we need to spin out a different website, or maybe it's a different area of the company. I absolutely get the reasons why, but from a search engine optimization perspective, again, this is a terrible idea. Both websites, in this case, your main website and your franchise website, want to rank for the same things. It wants to rank for your brand name, the word franchise, your products, your services, maybe your team. And so what happens is, again, you're fighting. So your franchise website wants to rank, your national website wants to rank, and so you're kind of fighting yourself. Meanwhile, again, a competitor comes right up the middle, outranks you. A much better approach is to tuck that franchise microsite within your main website. In this case, yourwebsite.com/franchising. And this allows you to piggyback off all of that great SEO from your national website. By the way, you also get to piggyback off that great SEO for your local websites. So frankly, your franchise website will rank much better. And what you want that franchise microsite to do is to rank for franchise terms pertinent to your industry. Usually you do that through having a great blog or a really robust FAQ. And what you're trying to do is get those franchise terms in addition to all those great brand terms and service terms, which your national website is providing a search authority on. I've talked about content a little bit today, but I really want to underscore that you can build a great website, but if your content isn't great, then you're not going to do well. So the analogy I always use is that your website's like the car and the content's like the gas. And if you build a great hot rod of a car that is high performance and can go really well, but you put terrible gas in, it's not going to run right. So you need to make sure that your your website has great content. And that comes down to planning. So don't just wake up in the morning and, write content and throw it on a page. We work with a lot of clients where they're just literally throwing content on a page. You got to think it through. Make sure your content is created based on strong SEO principles. And that applies to everything. That applies to your website copy, your articles, blogs, FAQs, applies to your social media content, which helps with your social search, by the way, which that's a whole nother topic. Younger people are actually performing searches more frequently on TikTok than Google these days, but we'll talk about that another time. But making sure that all that content is planned. And I do encourage you to think about your articles and your FAQs from a national, local, and franchise perspective, meaning creating content, articles, and FAQs at the national level, at the franchise development level, and local level if possible. This would be absolutely incredible. Not every franchise organization can do that, but for sure your national website and your franchise website should have a great blog and great FAQs. But if you can do local too, that's even better. Make sure you're researching those high value terms and including them. Again, not in a keyword stuffy way, but in an organic, well-written way. Review competitors. Make sure you're up to speed with what your competitors are doing. And yes, absolutely write your content based on the tips I've given you for AI and voice search. Again, not to game the system, not to try and guess what the algorithm wants, but rather because you understand that at the end of the day, it's real people conducting searches and that they're using different phraseology than they did in the past. And I can't say this enough, ongoing content creation is so important. A lot of times we'll launch a new website for a client, we got all this great content in there, search rankings spike up, everybody's happy, and then the client stops producing content. And the content gets stale and your rankings naturally go down. Recency, value, relevance are major aspects of the ranking methodology. So if you're not creating new content to continue to keep your relevancy active, your rankings will go down. So let's give some specific examples here. So on the left is an AI overview search, and on the right is a local search. So the types of queries that tend to trigger an AI overview are things like informational queries where people are looking for education or they want to understand a topic. Question-based queries, very much a big deal from an AI overviews perspective, or when someone's looking to solve a problem or they're conducting a long tail search. So when someone's searching something like what is, or how does blank work, or how to blank, or what are, or what's the best way to, these are the types of searches that trigger an AI overview. Whereas from a local search perspective, um, this is where someone's explicitly including local keywords. So things like restaurants in Springfield or plumbers near Riverdale, or even when it's implicit local keywords. So when someone does like a coffee shop near me, or they include the brand, right? Tim Hortons in Springfield, or where they're including a service and locality. So water heater repair in Springfield. And even when there's a sort of high intent keyword where Google can infer that someone wants a local result, like Thai restaurant or emergency plumber. And what's interesting is from an AI overview perspective, this is a perfect opportunity to structure your blog and FAQ. So structuring your articles and your FAQs to answer questions. And again, thinking with the phrase of it. So how do I structure my content to answer what is or how does or how to type of questions? Your blog and your FAQ are a natural spot for this. Meanwhile, ranking for local searches really comes down to having great local content, really strong structured data, and optimizing your Google business profile. So you can see now how using different areas of your website in different ways allows you to rank both for AI overviews and for local searches all at once. So it's a combination of having the right structure, the right content, and understanding what levers within your local website and your national website you can pull to be able to rank for different types of searches. Okay, let's talk about closing the deal. So once people get to your website, that's only half the battle. The other half is let's get them to contact us, or to, if you're an e-commerce company, to buy something. So I think we would all agree the best way is to put a big form right in front of them and have them fill out it. Right? No. So yes, for a campaign, if you're running a Google search campaign or a social media campaign and you're getting high intention traffic that's acting on a specific offer, sure, putting a form top right is best practice. We do it all the time for our campaigns, for sure. But from an organic search perspective, this is akin to someone just walking in the front door of one of your locations, and before they can even step in, someone jumps in front of them and says, "Hey, buy my stuff." You got to give the person a little bit of space, right? You got to give them a little chance to be able to understand what your business is about, what you have to offer before you're trying to close that deal. So we don't recommend, from an organic perspective, putting that form right at the top. And for God's sake, don't do one of these pop-ups. So you've all experienced this. You go to a website and this big pop-up comes. What's the first thing you do? You close it as fast as you can, right? Because it's in your way. And on mobile, this looks atrocious because it takes up the whole screen. So you can't even see any of the website. All you see is this big pop-up. Absolutely terrible thing to do. Also is a negative ranking signal to Google, by the way. So when there's a pop-up like this that overlays content, Google sees it as a negative ranking signal. So don't do this. Just don't, please. What you want to do is you want to realize that there are two different types of people and you want to optimize your site for them. There are the explorers. These are the people who show up to a website and scroll through the pages and kind of discover content as they go. They're not probably looking for a specific destination. They're looking for you to tell them a bit of a story. The second type of person is what I call a seeker. These are the people who arrive with a purpose. They head straight for the navigation or search tools, and they're looking for that one thing, and they want to use the navigation and get to there as fast as possible. So in my experience, most business people tend to be the second one. They go right to the navigation, they click, they go. Don't discount the explorers. And when you're thinking about your website, understand that there's different user behaviors. Just because you use a website one way doesn't mean everybody does. So make sure you're building your website both for content exploration and for kind of that quick pathing towards conversion. So let's talk about how to build a website. So this is a design for a website we currently have in development for a company called Gracie Baja. They're a martial arts organization with worldwide locations. So people read in a zigzag pattern. They start at the top left, their eyes will go across the right, then they will zigzag down and they'll go right again. And you want to think about that behavior when you're building your web page. And in this case, I'm showing you the desktop. We'll talk about mobile in just a second. But in this case, what you're doing is you're actually optimizing both for the seekers and the browsers. Because before the browsers browse, they're going to scan, and the seekers are definitely scanning because they're looking for that thing that they want. So we've structured this web page specifically for this. So you can see at the top left, we've told them that this particular location is in downtown Toronto. So right out of the gate, they know they're in the right place. They've probably conducted a local search. Yeah, I'm looking for martial arts in Toronto. Boom, I arrive on the page. I know right away I'm in the right place. We've given them the address and the phone number. So if they're super task oriented and just want to call, it's right there, super easy. It also gives them the street address so they can assure themselves that it's nearby. We've put this call to action at the top right. So it's a button and it's red on purpose. It draws the eye to it. And this is a major call to action where your seeker, your task-oriented person, is probably going to click that and go. But it also gives our browser some indication as to what conversion looks like. In this case, conversion is booking your first class. Even if they don't click it, we've already told them, what the expectation is. Then as their eyes scan through the middle of the page, they see again, yes, this is in fact a downtown Toronto location. We've given them that second call to action, which is the same as the first. Again, designed the same way on purpose. So that way we're reinforcing that. And even down here, once their eye gets down there, there's a more subtle call to action to learn more about the school. So your task-oriented person is probably going to click the, book your class, or they're going to click the phone number if they're on their phone, or just call the number, or they're going to click something in the navigation. Your browse-oriented person is going to start to scroll. And so what you want to do is you want to include things on the pages to entice them, to draw them in, and you're looking to strike that chord with whatever it is that makes sense to them. So in this case, we're showing the classes for this organization, and you can see we've purposely put kids, fundamentals, advanced, expert, jiu-jitsu for women. So as you're looking through this, if I have kids and I'm looking for my kids, boom, there it is. If I'm a beginner, great. If I'm a woman, great. So what we're doing here is we're purposely giving them opportunities to click and explore. As we scroll down, got some nice photos of the location, give them a sense of what it looks like and what they're getting themselves into. We again tell them exactly where the location is, assure them that it is convenient and nearby. If they're still scrolling, let's give them some testimonials so they know that our customers are really happy, our students are really happy. Again, this is a design, so don't worry about what it says. This site's still in development, so we haven't deployed it yet. But you can see what we're doing is we're just giving some proof points. Nice little call to action right in the middle of the page. Getting started at Gracie Baja is easy. Book your first class. So at this point, the browser is probably getting more comfortable. Maybe they click that. We've got some nice photos here from Instagram, again, giving them a sense of what it looks like and what an experience at Gracie Baja might look like. If they do get down to the bottom of the page, again, we've given them the address, the school hours. And if they've gotten this far and haven't clicked something, they probably haven't seen anything that's spiked their curiosity. So we like to put an exposed sitemap in the bottom. So you can see we've got lots of links at the bottom here. This is something we like to do because if I haven't found what I'm looking for yet, here's an opportunity. What's also nice is sometimes the seekers, they'll scan the top nav if they don't see what they want. Sometimes they'll jump right to the footer, expecting to find a sitemap like this, and that can also be a nice convenience for them. Now, if we talk about mobile, as I said, mobile is critically important, and I implore you, absolutely go look at your franchise website on mobile as soon as you're done this video. I mentioned before to look at your store locator, but look at all your pages. Does it look good? Is it easy to use? And are you following fundamentals? So in this case, right up at the top on mobile, we've got this, again, West Downtown Toronto. Again, I'm very confident now. If I've done a local search and I land on this page, I'm in the right place. We've got a very visible call to action. Right in thumb level. That's right where your thumb would be. So if I am an action-oriented person, I just want to click that and find out more about booking my free trial. Away I go. Top right here is a nice little feature we have where I can click that little arrow down. Gives me all the information about the location. Very convenient. And of course, we've got a very standard spot here for the navigation. Again, that's for our task-oriented seeker person. They can open that. And again, we've got this nice book of free trial right in line so they can see it, plus all the navigation. So we're really catering to both those scrollers, the browsing people, and those seekers. Another example, this is a restaurant, so they're less about getting inquiries and leads and more about orders. So right at the top right, again, remembering my eyes go from left to right. So even on your phone, you're still doing a quick scan. Top right, nice strong call to action, purposely using red, purposely making it clear what it is. Again, we've told them this is for Markham, so really clear that I am at the right place. And particularly for this business, a lot of people like to call to order. So we've made the phone number nice and big on mobile in particular. And I can, of course, tap that and I will call that location directly. If I were to click the navigation, again, for our seekers, menus right at the top. That's something people are obviously looking for. Order online, again, is very visible. Nice red button, so it's very clear to the seeker what it is that they're looking for there. This is a concept we've been playing with a little bit where if you look at the bottom here, we have included on the website what we're calling the sticky nav. I know, not the most creative name, but the idea here is this is a website, not an app. And what we do is when it's on a mobile device, we purposely create this menu that sits right at the bottom of the page. And even as I scroll the page, the menu stays there. What's nice about this is, first of all, it makes it feel a little more app-like. We're all used to apps because with a lower menu because we use them all the time. So it feels very natural. Doesn't really feel like it's in my way, but it gives a very visible call to action whenever I want it. So this is beautiful for both the task-oriented person. If they hit the page and they just want to call or text or email, boom, right there. For your browser, they don't have to do it, right? It's not in their face. It's not a pop-up. It's not interruptive. They can scroll the page, learn all about the business, and when they're ready, they can go down here and they can click text and they get a nice little pop-up, hey, send us a text, blah, blah, blah. Very low impact, very much positioned as a convenience as opposed to a you must fill this in. So this is something we've been working on with several of our clients. We're really excited about it. Seems to be getting good traction, and it's kind of a nice way to service both types of users. Okay, let's wrap this up. So from a summary perspective, although I glossed over it at the start, you really do need to make sure you're covering the basics, as I call them. Great website design, good, well-written content, accessibility, compliant, secure, etc. Make sure you're doing all that, of course. You need to be thinking with generative AI. AI is changing everything about digital marketing, including SEO. And if you're not doing something now, I assure you, you're going to be left behind. Local search for a franchise organization is your secret weapon. Think about how you can optimize for local searches. They convert higher, the volume's very good, you compete only against companies in your area, and it helps you get those clicks to your website in an environment where fewer and fewer clicks are going to happen due to AI overviews and similar approaches. And once they get to your website, use contextual calls to action. Don't put big pop-ups. Don't put screaming, colorful things. Think about the user experience. Think about your two user types and give them an opportunity to convert on their terms. If you've watched this far, I'm really happy you did so. If you're interested, you can download a free copy of this presentation. There's a QR code right there. We'll also put a link in the description below so you can download this presentation, have it for yourself. If you ever want to contact me personally, there's my contacts. I would be more than happy to talk with any of you. And just as a free bonus, we are offering our 2025 Digital Trends Report, absolutely free of charge. It includes lots of information about the trends I've talked about today, plus things like social search and influencer marketing, a bunch of other great information there. QR code, you can download it, or again, look in the links below in the description, and we'll link to it there. Thank you again, and have yourself a great day.